you know, something back in forestry or with a different company, then we'll let you guys know. Anything else as far as announcements or topics that you want to bring up? I've got a couple, just some events that we have coming up. We're starting to get into our tournaments. The Shamrock Scramble is our first event. That's at Auburn Hills on March 18th. We've done this event several years in the past. It's a 4-person team, $100 a person. That includes your green fee, your cart, range balls, tea gift, lunch, and the traditional green beer for St. Patrick's Day. So we are taking applications, taking entries for that. And then Tex Turmoil is April 8th. That is a 2-person event. It's $130. We have kind of non-traditional pin location and tee locations, kind of spruce it up, make it a little bit more fun. The format of that is very unique. It's your score on the hole dictates where you tee off on the next hole. So if you make a bogey, you get to move up to the red. If you make a birdie, you have to move back to the blue on the next hole, and a par is white tee. So we are taking entries on both of those events right now, as well as all of our classes and lessons, junior groups, and all that. We did have an issue right before Christmas. The system that we used, they basically stopped using the gateway that we use to accept online payments. So their entry fees and all that just suddenly, without warning, stopped. So we've had to use the rec track system, which is what the parks use on the other side of the park world. So we had to figure out and scramble how to get everything loaded into rec tracks so we could do online entries. It's been quite the headache for Darius. He did not have access to that system and has never used it. So as he's getting phone calls, it's hard for him to answer questions the correct way. So we've been in a mad scramble to figure that out. We are looking at probably next week putting an RFP out for a new software system, a new POS system. The part of that RFP is that we have to be able to accept credit card payments on the beverage carts. We have to be able to take online payments. So we're drawing up all the little details that we need in place in that RFP so we can upgrade our systems. It's just not up to standards of what exists out that we should be using. So we're trying to upgrade that, and that'll fix that problem, hopefully.
How quick of a turnaround would that be possibly?
We're looking at, it would probably be a 3-week RFP, and then I'd say a couple weeks once we select the program to get the contract and everything in place, and then probably a month to get the system. I mean, that's a lot we have to upload all of our inventory, all of our memberships, do all the training. So we're probably May 1st would be probably realistic. So it's a process. I've been through that 4 times. I did it with 8 courses 2 years ago, and it's a lot of work, but it's worth it in the end. Okay, if there's nothing else there, we'll move forward with the first item, and that is officer nominations and elections. Nate, I may lean on you a little bit to make sure we're doing this correctly.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Yeah, hey, this is Nate from the Law Department, just talking about nominations for officers. Relatively easy in the bylaws that we put forth. We've got 2 different officers that we'll need to nominate and elect today, president and vice president. Legal services, secretary are covered by staff services already. So I think we can just proceed president and then vice president. You can nominate yourself or somebody else. We'll just kind of leave some time for the nomination process. It's not like it has to be 5 minutes or anything. We can all kind of work together on that. Once we do that, if people want to kind of give a speech or anything, if it's contested, we can kind of see what that's like. And if we want to have any speeches or back and forth or anything like that, once we get the nominations, hear from folks, then we just vote on it. The majority is the person that holds that term. You hold your term for a year or so. Just the way that it's shaken out, we may need to match up the way our terms fit with the city yearly cycle, but that's not an issue for this election. That's something that we can deal with a little down the road. So looking for nominations for president and the vice president. We'll do the elections as the component parts of both of that. And like I said, just a majority. And then we'll have things set up. Just so folks know, president is the person who will functionally be like Jesse for the rest of the meeting. So call to order, make decisions about procedural issues, move us along the agenda, things like that. Vice president doesn't do anything until the president's not here, has to stand in otherwise. That's laid out in the bylaws as well. If you have questions, just let me know. Happy to answer any of them, but pretty simple process just to keep us moving along. Oh, yeah. So now I'll leave it to Jesse to still, oh, do we have nominating? Sorry, I didn't even know we had those. So if folks, and I just, it kind of depends on like if we have a lot of people that want to do this or not. And I mean, we can kind of maybe just gauge how many people are thinking or interested in running for president or have someone that they want to nominate on the board to run for president.
So do we have any nominations for president? Either nominate yourself or anyone else.
I'll nominate these two right here, VP and Vice President.
Okay. And
Or
for those watching,
Specify that a little bit, who for president, who for vice president, just so we've got that.
that I don't know. I just that I don't know. I'm just gonna nominate.
Get it going, yeah.
So.
for those on the computer, he was pointing at Randy Blummel and Mike Jordan. Oh boy, not a good time.
And, you know, we're trying to set this up so everybody is on. We can wait just a second and circle back to elections too if we want to. No problem at all. Also, though, we did set it up. We just need a majority of quorum to vote for people too. That was a bit more of a courtesy to try to get everybody involved. So it's just, you know, how you all want to proceed at this point.
Yeah.
Any nominations? I can't nominate, so I need a little help from you guys.
I guess to qualify Jesse's definition, I'll nominate Mike for president.
Okay. Any other nominations? Could we wait for?
Yeah, and let's just wait just in case
Okay.
there is a further nomination. That's a good point, actually, yeah.
Okay.
But as it stands, then we may not even really need to do much of an election. As long as everybody's okay, are we okay taking on those positions, guys? That's okay. Also important, maybe. And then we'll just wait to hear, and if we don't hear from Marcia for a while, then we'll just circle back. Oh, is she in the waiting room? In the people, you click on people, like. Perfect. Just do it.
Marcia, can you hear me?
Yes, I can now. Did I conveniently miss the nomination process?
Waiting on you. So right now we have a nomination for Mr. Mike Jordan as president and Randy Blummel as vice president. So
Okay.
I don't know if you had any other nominations or if you wanted to nominate yourself.
I do not, and I do not. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, and I guess the question is, anybody opposed to the nominations?
Is anyone opposed to nominations?
Then yes, well, we can record it as unanimous for our president and vice president. And it's kind of just because it's the first meeting, it's kind of up to you all. We can let Jesse kind of keep moving things along this meeting. You can delegate as president now, you know, all that sort of stuff. Just up to you all. And thank you, everybody. Very easy process this time.
Okay. All right, so we have Mr. Mike Jordan as president and Mr. Randy Blummel as our vice president.
I make a motion that Jesse continues to post the meeting.
You can do it without a vote, right? So you can just say, yeah.
If I can not second that. Okay, so the first thing we have the next agenda item is round eight.
That's too much work, basically.
A lot of stuff going there. Okay, so for a quick finance update, let's see in the timing, basically what I've done is just kind of compared last year, January 1st through February 20th to this year, same time frame. That goes through yesterday. This is a very positive part of this meeting. Looking at rounds, we are at right at 12,100 rounds. Last year, we were at 8,300. Now, obviously, weather plays a big part of that, but that's a 45% increase and 3,750 rounds up over last year. So that's obviously very, very positive start to the year. Total revenue, at this point last year, we were at 362,901, and that does include memberships. This year, we are at nearly 500,000. We're at 478,230, 32% increase or an increase of $115,329. So again, we fully understand what plays a big part of that. That's a great way to start 2023 and kind of keep that momentum going throughout the year. And then finally, just focusing on food and beverage. This is huge. It's almost crazy. 2022 at this point, we were at 14,192. This year we're at 29,319. It's a 106% increase, a $15,000 increase in just a month and a half compared to last year. So very positive things happening with food and beverage, and really Kevin's just getting started. So great start to the year. So are there any questions as far as any finance? I know this is not really getting into the financials, but since we just met last time. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, tell me what's contributing to the increases. I know to me, the weather's not that much different than it was last year.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of different things. Even in food and beverage, since we're on the slide, we're not expanded at all the way we want, where we're going to be, but we have expanded some. We've offered more things. We've done some different groups, different events, non-golf related events already. We've booked a ton of new events that he's going to speak on later. As far as food and beverage, that's a lot of it. If we go back, we do have some more members this year. So you can see it's about 15,000 more in memberships than what we had this time last year. And go back here. Rounds, I mean, there have been a lot of frost delays, but not really, it affected Sim more than anybody. So just because the frost just does not lift at Sim being down on the river. But I mean, I feel like there's quite a buzz right now. Everyone I talk to is, hey, we hear all the things that's happening. We haven't played your courses in a while, but we hear you're going to do this. And, you know, I'm hearing more and more feedback like that, which is exactly what we hope for. So I think it's just a combination of a lot of different things coming together.
I was going to add that buzz, what I was going to refer to. I think is folks are noticing that the activities that are going on in our courses, and that's generating that buzz. So I think that's positive to move forward.
Yeah, thank you. Yes.
That because we've had to go play other courses on weekends because we're so packed, but in general, every course is just full. We ended up going down to Wellington Sunday, which we wanted to see the courses anyway, but every course, there's just more golfers out there. It's crazy.
You're giving credit to golf in general. I want us to take the credit. Just kidding. No, it definitely is a factor.
We spoke earlier about, you know, I had the 2021 numbers, the total numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a way we can get the 2022 numbers and maybe in a format like this?
Sure.
So we can just kind of see and compare.
Yep.
You guys want to look at this? But this is 2021 numbers total, and it's broken down
Sure.
per pass, whether it's seniors,
Yeah.
adults.
I'll get that from you before we leave, or a copy of that, so I can put that exact for 2022. And it just as a reminder, anything you guys want to see at any point, shoot me an email. Obviously, don't email all because we don't want to have an email meeting, but shoot me an email directly. I'll get you anything that you want at any time. Yes.
We're going to run a breakout on these numbers per category so that we can actually see, because I've looked at the overall fee structure, and you got a $32 fee down to pretty minimum for junior.
Mm-hmm.
But it could be a big, I don't know, between the senior all day or all week pass versus, you know, seems like it could be somebody's paying the tally for them. I'm not
Right.
until we
So-
get some numbers.
I put, you'll see the last item on our agenda today. I put golf fee review. I want to go through all of our fees. You guys, I gave you a copy of our fees so you can have them. I wanted to kind of go over that tonight. So over the next couple of weeks, you guys can ask any questions. I can give you any information that you want. And then we can kind of start looking at fees and seeing if there needs to be adjustments at the next meeting going forward. So yeah, anything, whatever information you want, however you want it, let me know. I'll get you anything you need.
Yeah, it just seems like that guy comes out and pays a regular green fee, gets a half a seat of a cart, takes off and buys something. He's looking at a $50 or $60 pop for one day. So.
Right.
I'm not advocating lowering it for them, but maybe we could equalize this out a little bit. I don't know.
Sure. Yeah, we've definitely ran numbers on different membership categories and what they average per round. If you take all of the people in that category and how many times they play, some of them they're getting a heck of a deal. I can say that. So I'll get you all that information. I'll get the percentage of rounds each category plays, the average dollar per round for each of those categories. And I'll break it down exactly however you want it,
Yeah, I think that's kind of what here.
what that is. Okay, perfect.
What is that city hall?
That is the memberships.
That's the membership.
Yep, where's that at? Right there. That is the memberships it's through EFT. They don't pay it at the course. So there's almost like a fifth computer that collects that at City Hall.
Just a terminal.
Yeah. That's nearly a 7% increase in membership. So that's good. And I really definitely expect in the spring, we're going to have a little burst of memberships.
That last October, one of the meetings that Troy was having, they said that there was like 2.3 some million dollars of unencumbered money. And I know that you have taken a big chunk of that that's going to refurbishing the clubhouses and stuff like that. And some other things with equipment that you stated, I think in the first meeting,
Right,
was probably a really good chunk of money there too. But where do we stand right now? Do we have a balance or anything? Do you know where we?
Yeah, we ended the year after all those encumbrances and putting up the fund money, the special fund money to the side, we ended with exactly $1 million. And that was with the renovation, some of the equipment, different things. So since then, let me get you that number exactly because obviously after the last 3 days, that changed quite a bit. So let me get you the most up-to-date number. I can send that out even this evening. Yep. Or I'll send it out tomorrow. Yep. Okay. Any other questions?
So with the extra golfers, are we gonna open up clap again?
I will say.
It's a hard no.
Okay, no other questions here. I will go on to Darius, a project update. I know. Okay, so project update. Some of you probably know Keith retired from McDonald Golf Course this past Friday. I can see one of his parting gifts. I hope you can see that picture. It's for him to practice when he's at home. So Keith, I don't know if he's watching, but I want to say thank you and enjoy your retirement. As far as the position at McDonald Golf Course, we did interviews last week. I'm hoping tomorrow to have that packet back from HR so we can go through the process and make that official. And then we'll move forward from there. So, but Keith, he was there for a while. He had a big party Friday. I don't know, there were probably 40 or so people that showed up. We had pizza and cake for him. Good time. So congratulations to him. Since we last met, 6 of us, the 6 losers up top, went to the PGA show in Orlando. And I've been several years. This was maybe not the biggest, maybe not, I think probably 2012. It was probably at its biggest, but it was one of the biggest shows that I've been to. The last few years, it's kind of gotten smaller, but it was massive this year. And we saw just an overwhelming amount of things. We looked at everything from all the new, obviously the golf equipment for the golf pros. We looked at all the technology, which everything is leaning more towards technology, whether it's simulators, these launch monitors, it's everything. I mean, everything, putting simulators, all this stuff. And then we looked at POS systems, we looked at carts, all the apparel, just more than your brain can even comprehend. But we did take away some really good ideas and different things that we're exploring from that show to see if it makes sense for us. So great experience and it definitely worth the trip down. Cart RFP. I've been working with finance and purchasing mainly at this point to get the RFP out. There's a couple of, we're really trying to make sure we're getting everything that we are looking for out of this. We're looking for beverage carts. We're all the different things on the carts that we want. The service has to be right. So we kind of went back and forth to tweak the RFP exactly how we want. We're looking at next week that will go out. I've said that for a couple of weeks, but in dealing with purchasing, who does this all the time, they knew the questions to ask to make sure we were getting all the things we needed in that RFP. So once we send that out, it'll be out for probably 3 weeks, and then we will make a decision. I'll probably bring you guys in on that decision. I don't know exactly how that works. We'll figure it out, but and then we'll get the order placed. And then there is obviously a big supply chain issue in getting these carts. So they've all the companies that I've spoken to have told us that we would be top priority. So hopefully it'll be sooner than later we can get the carts. I'm hoping early summer it would be my goal. Part of that plan from it's in the RFP, is they have to provide us with some type of short-term solution until the carts come in, primarily at McDonald Golf Course, where we run out of carts by 10 o'clock every day. We just don't have enough carts there. They're broken down, they're old. So even if the carts take 6 months to come in, they're going to provide a rental fleet or some kind of solution for us to get through at McDonald, where customers aren't just having to stand around and wait on carts and we're an hour behind because of that. So hopefully that situation will be in place. We'll be taken care of before the season really, really gets going.
Hey, Jesse.
Yeah.
I'm just curious because I've been out here in California, and if this isn't the right time to discuss this, let me know. I'm wondering if anybody there has had any general feedback from golfers about the announcement for the cart increase. Have you heard pros, cons, yay, good, anything?
I have. Has anyone else, before I answer, has anyone heard anything, had any complaints or positive?
I've heard positive.
Darius said he's heard some positives.
And one thing that once we tell the customers we're getting new carts later in the year, they're like, that's a great deal. It's only $250 more,
Okay.
$50 plus tax more. We're happy to pay that.
Okay.
If we're getting new carts later in the year. So.
I don't know if you could hear. Could you hear him okay? Marsha, could you hear that?
I did hear that. Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. Yeah, and then from my side, I've gotten several emails, and I mean, I would say 4 emails and maybe 2 or 3 were a little bit negative, and almost all, just like he said, they said, as long as we're getting new carts, thank you. And you know, they're happy to pay it as long as we can get new carts.
Yeah, I mean, I communicated with 2 of the people I golf with, and they both said the same thing, but it was only a selection of 2. So I just wondered if there was more feedback. Thank you.
Yep. Perfect. Okay, we wrapped up the customer service training this week. Kevin and I completed a second round of that for everyone that couldn't attend the first one. So pretty much, there's still a few that for whatever reason couldn't attend, but I would say we got 90% of all staff has been through this customer service training. As new staff comes on, we'll have these trainings throughout the year. And it's going to be kind of as I've said before, the kickoff to a huge customer service initiative. We just ordered uniforms this week. So that all staff will have staff shirts. Working on name tags. So everyone can easily identify staff and know who to go to if they have an issue. And just make sure that all of our guests are having a great experience when they come to any of the 4 courses and consistent treatment at all the 4 courses. All right, I threw this up again. When we went to the PGA show, I think I mentioned in the last, one of my goals was to look at driving range options for targets, for just ways to spruce up the driving range. So pretty much you've got the same things all over. You've got poles, you've got flags. It's just kind of the same standard thing that's been in place for 20 years. So I was trying to come up with ways to kind of give it some character, make it unique. So I'm starting at Tex. Since Tex Golf Course is directly beside the airport, I'm working on securing 5 or 6 of the front ends of these airplanes like you see in this picture with the big propellers that I can put on giant poles like 10 foot up in the air that'll be different colors. So you can aim at instead of having just typical flag, we'll have those as targets. So you're kind of looking, it kind of gives it character since it's by the airport. And the only reason I'm bringing this up is that I'm looking for ideas. I kind of want to do some unique things and give our courses something outside of the norm that makes us stand out a little bit. So those type of ideas, please, if you guys have anything that comes to your mind that you think of that you want to try, let me know. But the feedback I've gotten on this has been very positive, and we're working with a couple different people to try to come up with the parts that we need here. And like I said, there'll be different colors. I just thought that would be kind of neat. I've done it at different courses in the past, and it just kind of gives you a reason to stand out from the pack. Yes, sir. Sorry.
That Texans all over. I cannot remember when they originally built that, if there was a water drop put in to where you could irrigate that rain. Seems to me like that's kind of an eyesore, always has been.
Yeah,
Plus, I would think it'd eat up golf balls in the dirt all the time.
It does. We've spent hours standing on that range. So the irrigation has basically been cut off to that part. There were so many.
I thought there was a way to do it.
Years ago that happened.
I think that when they went to overseeding, when they needed the water, because but now since we've gone to all warm season grasses, if the allocation's there, if we couldn't go ahead and maybe look at opening that back up for irrigation.
Honestly, we need to do a ton of dirt work to that range. It's terrible. It's all mud. There's no grass, or it's dirt. So it's either almost like the balls are landing on concrete and getting chewed to pieces, or it just turns to pure mud and they go in the ground. You can dig. We actually went out with a shovel. You can dig a foot into that ground and you could get 50,000 golf balls out of the dirt across that range. That's a big project. We're still trying to work on ideas for that. I don't know what the solution, without spending a ton of money. I don't know what the solution to
I think that could possibly, I mean, it doesn't have to be done this summer, but maybe an off summer or off season job, you could put it in yourself. It's not a task it couldn't be done, but.
You talking about moving the dirt in? And
no, putting the irrigation.
Oh, the irrigation. Gotcha. Yeah, no, that's definitely something high on the radar to try to figure out what to do with that range, because it is a problem.
I thought that somebody had mentioned one time about possibly putting mats out, like at Auburn or some of the other courses, having a hitting mat as opposed to hitting off of the ground. Is that still in play?
Yeah, when we were at the PGA show, we talked with a company called Power Tee that basically they provide them the mat. They build a little structure for it to go on. There's a little hopper that you pour the balls into this hopper. It automatically tees it up for you. It's on a mat, which normally I would be like, that's not necessary. It really is cool when you were there. And another reason I'm looking for that is ADA accessible. So it's something I did a lot with when I was in Virginia, was making sure that folks maybe that are in a wheelchair or whatever have difficulty teeing the ball if they have the same access as everyone else. So I'm looking at possibly trying to see if there's any ADA grant money to fund that. But we would put 5 on each side of Auburn if we can get that done. If for some reason that doesn't work out, and it's not really much more expensive than just doing concrete and putting a standard mat there. So if we can't do that, we've already kind of drawn out the plans to put a concrete pad on the back of Auburn box. And we're going to start there, and then we'll move. Tex would be the second one. Mac already has the mats. So, yeah. Yes, sir.
With the mats, I like the mats, except that the ones at McDonald's anyway, you can't get the tin.
Yeah, no.
Up at the PJ show, do they have any?
Yeah. I'm not a fan of those mats either. Those were kind of a collaboration with First Tee. From what I understand, when those mats were put in, we would put a totally different type of mat. I've used a couple of different ones. The ones that I like you can put the tee in. They have a spot for rubber tee if that's what you want to use, or you can put a standard tee in, and then you could rotate the mat. So every week we would do a quarter turn rotate, so you don't have one spot, it just gets wore out. Yeah, definitely do a different type of mat than what we have at Mac. Okay. Volunteer program update. We are at I think today we may have actually went over 100 volunteers. The next week, I've kind of got an email ready to send out to everyone. We're going to kickstart that, kind of use March as training. I'm going to have a volunteer coordinator designated at each course that will kind of control the scheduling and just control the program. But my plan is to, by April 1st, have starters and marshals in place at all the courses. So when the season really gets going, we have way more control and everyone's having a lot better experience. So, yes, sir.
Are the marshals actually going to have control to, hypothetically, have a group that's slowing everybody down and just have them piled up behind you? Are they going to have control to say, hey, you guys need to step off, let a group go through or something? I mean, because in the past, they really haven't been able to really do very much.
Right. Right, they will, and that's why I want the training to be pretty in-depth to train these folks on the correct way to do that.
Yeah, because there's
there's definitely a right and wrong way to go about that. So, once I feel like everyone, the training's in place, everyone fully understands the process, they will have that authority. Now, part of that training will be if someone gets out of line, starts yelling, cussing, I want them to step away, come get one of the golf pro or whoever manager on duty. As it's not going to be their place to sit there and argue with anyone. So if it starts getting out of hand, step away, come get someone in management. Yes.
I remember mentioning about the kind of incentive program for volunteers. I don't know if that is one of our decisions, but I'm going to see where we're at on.
That was something I was going to bring up. What I'm kind of looking at is 5-hour shifts. If you're a member, you would get, make sure I've got this right, 2 carts for a 5-hour shift, 2 cart rentals, or if you're a non-member, you would get a green fee and a cart. 1-1 trade-off. There's a big mix between members and non-members as far as the people that have volunteered so far. So trying to figure out a way for that to be fair. Obviously a member doesn't need green fees, so I'm doing cart rentals for them. Does that sound fair? Anybody have any comments or discussion on that? Good. And then one final thing, and just kind of secured this today. Gentleman with Newman University reached out with Pi Gamma Mu. It's an honors or I better not say that. I don't want to say the wrong thing, but program through Newman University. They're looking for community service projects. So you were talking about limbs. On March 20th, they're going to bring a group of students out, and I've worked with Darren. He's going to basically start trimming trees, and these students are going to basically pick up the limbs and carry them to a pile, a place that we designate to really clean that course up. So in a matter of 3 or 4 hours, we've got 20 folks that are all helping at once. We can do 3 weeks worth of work, probably 2 months worth of work during that time. So I thought that was great of them to reach out and offer their services to help. So I wanted to make sure I mentioned them today. Another thing, I've had three different businesses reach out to me looking for ways that they can help, that they can donate to projects or donate to the golf program. Kind of when I came in, I wanted to really do things ourselves, get the ball rolling on some of these projects, and let everyone in the community see that we are moving forward with projects where we are doing these things on our own, and then see if, then reach out and see if, hey, we've got this project, would anyone be interested in helping with donations or whatever. All three reached out to me and said, it's kind of what you were talking about. They've kind of feel the buzz of different things that we're looking to do, and they wanted to be a part of it. So to me, that was an excellent sign. Very encouraging. So I'm working with them, and Nate, I'll probably need to get with you and figure out how this works. But I just wanted to mention that I really, back to what you said, the kind of the buzz in the community about golf, I think is in a very positive direction right now. I'm desperately doing everything I can to keep that going and keep that momentum building and so just wanted to mention that.
This group here, is that just one group that's volunteering?
What course did you say? Yeah, it's one group of students at Sim Golf Course. They have a ton of limbs that short staffed through the winter. You're trying to just keep the course going. So it's hard to find time to do these things. So little, projects like this and groups like this, they can come in and in a matter of hours do help us tremendously. So I just wanted to make sure and give them thanks tonight at this meeting. Yes, sir.
That same vein, Mr. Halpman might be able to answer this better. When you do a project like that, and you start getting these piles of limbs, et cetera, piled up out there, is it possible to borrow a chipper or rent a chipper, knowing that forestry is swamped under? We all realize that. But if it's possible maybe to borrow a chipper and then let the crews chip that up, it seems like that would be real advantageous to everybody.
Yes, we worked with them hand in hand before. This was a year ago. We spent over $600,000 worth of work that we did, forestry did on golf courses. So they do work together very closely. And if maintenance folks want to borrow a chipper, they know who to call, I think. So
either go through Jesse or whatever the case may be. I just think it really, I know you guys are swamped under.
I don't think we've ever stopped anybody from borrowing equipment from one part of the department to another. So I think they have a pretty good relationship. And if they needed something, I think they know who to call.
Okay. Any questions, comments, discussion on kind of the project update? Any other? Oh, I guess wow, I forgot to put this up. The clubhouse renovations. We got an estimate back from the architect that was a lot more than what we were hoping, which is pretty much expected. So we started kind of looking for ways to trim that down and save money off of that. We've actually taken Sim off of that. We're doing that ourselves. If you've been to Sim the last 3 days, they're painting. They've already painted all the walls and ceiling. The painting is done. The flooring should be done next 2 weeks. And then new counters will kind of be along with the flooring. We'll try to time that out where it's at the same time. So Sim will actually be done within 3 weeks. The paint looks great. I took some pictures this morning, but with the old flooring, it did look like I wanted it to on a picture, so I didn't want to show that tonight until we get it looking the way it should. But yeah, we're moving forward with that. We're hoping that we have the updated plans from the architect. We were hoping today, this week anyway, and then we should be in within budget once we get after the adjustments that we made, but still getting what we want to get done. So.
Yes, had the whole business come up. I got to ask again today on the policies and procedure on whether or not you can get more than one tee time as an individual. Some guys are telling me they're not able to do it.
So
we play in a group.
No, I understand.
2 or 3 groups.
I understand. You can get one tee time in your name per day. But if you're saying I'm playing with 6 other guys or 7 other guys in 2 groups, you can do that. You can't make a tee time at 9 o'clock and then at 12 o'clock under your name. Does that make sense? So you can book a tee time for a group. You just can't make multiple tee times in your name each day.
Well, I guess then the way around that would, if somebody calls in or does something, they can make a tee time under, I can make one under Jesse's name and my name then, or.
And that would only matter if you were planning on playing 36 holes. If you're playing 18 holes, everyone can make a tee time for.
Well, they're saying that to get multiple groups all playing together, they're having problems.
Like online?
Online it is.
Yeah.
I heard that just this last
Yeah,
weekend.
they're complaining to me about
Trying
it.
to book 3 tee times for 4 4s and 4s. They're trying to do it all underneath one name because he's doing it online.
So
It's not allowing him to do that.
Shows you already have it.
Yeah, it shows that you already have that.
I mean, until if we get a new system, that might change. That's the way most of the systems are going to be set up. So the best way would be to contact the course and reach out to the golf pro. They can manually put in whatever they want. So yeah, just if anyone comes to that issue, just have them call the course directly if they're booking more than one foursome.
When you go online to book a tee time, first thing that pops up is the page says become a member. 4 courses, no restrictions. I change that if there are restrictions, instead of saying no restrictions. Just saying.
Yeah, I'll take it on. Okay.
Put on there, if
I'll
you're
look at that.
booking multiple tee times for 3 groups, call the clubhouse.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying that
I mean, when
says no restrictions.
we say no restrictions, I mean,
I mean, that's
it's
just,
obvious. We're saying you can play Saturday morning or you can say play Tuesday afternoon. There's no times that you're blocked out. So, but I understand what you're saying. People are,
yeah, you could take that a different way.
right. Okay. You can,
I don't have a problem.
So we have groups, in the past, several years ago, you were allowed to make multiple tee times online, on the app. The issue we were having were there were so many no-shows of big groups that we restricted it to, you get 1 tee time. So now if you no-show us, you're only gonna no-show one for 1. Now, some of the bigger groups we have on the weekends, one guy goes in and books the 810, the next guy in that group goes in and books the 820. A lot of times they're doing it before we ever get there. So if you wait to call in to get those tee times, a lot of times by the time we get there, the first 2 hours are gone. So they still book them online. They just do it under multiple people in the group. And it was, again, at one point we'd let them make up to 3, but we were having these big blocks of no-shows and it hurt. So we started restricting it back to where if somebody was not going to show up, it was only going to be 1 tee time rather than 3.
someone thought they had
Makes
12.
perfect sense.
They only had 5. So, okay, I'll look at the wording on that. I mean, I know what you're saying it says, but I'll look at it with a kind of a magnifying glass.
I don't have an issue with it.
Right.
Every time I pull it up to make a tee time, it says that. So I just,
Sure. Okay. Okay. So the next item on the agenda is project update, Auburn Hills. I know, Scott, you're on the call. I don't know if you can hear me, but Scott, did you have any updates for Auburn Hills?
Nope, we're in pretty good shape. Painting renovation, that's all completed. Right now, we're just waiting for the kick off the year with the Shamrock Scramble. But other than that, we're in pretty good shape moving forward.
Good. All right. And the updates are this time of year, they're not much. So as the year goes on, these updates will be a lot more. So thank you, Scott. At Sim, I know Darren is here. He had he's got an issue with his pump as well. So I'm going to ask him to come and speak on that just so you guys are aware. We'll touch on it briefly, but he can kind of be more in depth on the issue there and kind of what solutions we're looking at.
I can't remember where we left off last.
We'll start from
Okay.
no.
We were having issues with the new pump at my well house, and so we pulled the pump. Sounds weird. We pulled the pump, realized that we had some damage in there from debris. So we did a scope, couldn't really see anything on the scope. And so we did a pump test, which is to see if we were pumping sand, and we are pumping sand. So immediately we were assuming, because that was the worst news we could have, okay, we got to drill a new well. But talking to the contractor, he doesn't believe that will happen. We can recase the well, which would be about half the price. In doing so, though, I've made, I don't know, 8 phone calls to different well services. I've gotten 3. All the other ones either don't do water or don't do this big of a well. So I don't really even think, did we get a bid from Sergeant? Or do I need, you did, okay. Because I didn't see that one. I got Clarkwell out of Great Bend, and then Flint Hills just contacted me late last week. So they're gonna be coming this week, hopefully, get me a bid on it too, to recase the well. My concern with this, though, I know we'd be saving money, but my concern is I don't want to lose gallons per minute, because we'll be going from a 16-inch casing to a 14-inch casing. And what stinks is the first 5 feet is 16 inches. And then the other 20 feet is 24 inches. Because they added that on because the well used to sit underground in a pit. And then they put it above ground and filled that in with sand and cased it at 16 inch. You can't clean anything below that 16 inch because nothing will fit past through the 16 to get to the 24 inch casing. So we would do 14 inch. We will lose some gallons per minute, but because we wanted it at 1100, and they're saying they can get me close. So hopefully they can. So, question, yes.
Only because I'm retired, I was over Texas Solver today, and they had a well outfit in there putting a new skid in. Yeah, they couldn't remember. Have you got a quote from them?
I talked to Seth about that. That guy has not contacted me. It's not him. It's a contractor that he uses. That company doesn't do that work, according to what Seth told me. But they use a company that I don't know who it is. Nobody's, the other thing is I'm kind of under a time crunch. I need to get this done because my other well is only a 50 horse and I can only run one. I can do 2 greens, but you can see the second I turn on that second green, the water drops.
Well, the 50 horses that are restricted in that hole also.
It's brand new.
Something's wrong. 50 horses got to put more water in that.
I don't know on that. But so I've been running off of that, and I've been watering here and there over the winter, but I can only do 1 green at a time. So.
Do you run on your greens 30 gallon heads, or?
I'm sorry?
30 gallon a minute head, or what is it?
I don't know. I don't know. So, questions?
Just for a second. Okay. So where we're at on that, that's fine. You can answer them. Yeah. He got the first bid. It started with a whole well. Their team of engineers kind of worked to come up with a plan they think would work. We want a second and a third opinion. It's hard to get these folks to come out. So hopefully this week we're going to have them come out. The original company plan, we're looking at about $65,000 to put that new casing, the test that they run. They ran a camera all the way down to the bottom of that well. Didn't really see anything. So then they brought the test pump out. It was pumping sand like crazy. So there's obviously an issue that the camera just for whatever reason didn't pick up. But here's the situation with the size change, 5 foot into that well, creates a lot of issues. So the 2 things, we obviously want to look at the cost and make sure they're in line with what someone else says. And we want 2 or 3 opinions to tell us that we can put a casing and you're not going to lose the water pressure, that you're still going to be 1,000 gallons or better. So we're, hopefully this week we'll have those companies come out. We'll have 3 different opinions. We're not obviously going to share what the other one said. We're going to let them tell us what we need to do, and see if they all match. So just kind of an update on that. That's where we're at to see. We have to get this fixed. We don't have a choice, and we need to get it fixed like tomorrow. So
Question, when
Yes,
you're asking those guys, is it possible to add a little 5-foot more screen and put another bowl or 2 on?
there, I mean, we can
Ask them.
we can ask.
Ask them.
Once we get the definite appointment set and when they're going to come out, if you wanted to pop out and if you're free and able, we would love to have your opinion on them. You obviously are knowledgeable in that area, so that's not my area of expertise. So we would love to have you, if you could, pop out if you're willing.
Yeah, fine.
Okay, I'll let you know.
That 5 foot, you said that's a 16 on top of a 24. What is that? Is that concrete?
Okay. You mean the 5 feet?
Yeah, you said there's 16 and 24. There's a 5 foot in between.
Okay, you got the main well, the regular well that was built when Mike worked there and everything, I'm assuming, was just 24 inches, but it was underground. Okay. You opened up the hole and you went down in there and you opened the valve. Went to the irrigation system. So they got rid of that, hooked in 16-inch pipe to 24-inch and brought it up to the surface, put the building there and all that there. So that was all filled in with sand.
You can't open that up and make it all 24 again?
Well, I've asked them that. No, it's you're right. It is concrete around it, yes.
Still, you can't open that up. It's only 5 feet. That doesn't sound like a lot.
But I mean, the building there, you're looking at
It would have been about the same cost to do that.
probably $200,000 to do that.
Because I did ask them, well, why can't we just take that out? He's like, well, it's encased in concrete. We'd have to get in and take the building down and.
Basically, what they're asking to do is they're just gonna put a sleeve down inside.
Yes.
Put new well casing in there. And, but if they could add another 5 foot of screen, because they did elevate that. And if there's enough static water level down there to the bottom of the hole to add another 5, you could actually get more draw, even though you're at smaller well casing size. But to get more draw, you still need to add a bowl or 2. So you may have to put some column pipe in there with a couple more bowls on it to get pressure up, which would give you more volume with your pressure.
Was the assumption that the sand is?
Sand, they get a hole in them somewhere and the screen starts sucking sand in because that's a sand pit over there you're dealing with. It's a lot worse in a lot of places. So once the sand comes in, it gets inside your bowls, eats your wear rings, and all up. I mean, the pump doesn't last very long.
Okay, so I think next step, I'll let you know when they're going to come out, and I'll update everyone after those meetings on what we find out, and we'll go from there. But definitely an expense that we're going to have. Okay, any other questions from Sam? Okay, all right, next up, McDonald update. And Keith's retirement, Colin is kind of stepping up and serving as acting right now, head golf professional. And then Ron Reese, I know Ron just went to a conference. I've invited him to kind of speak on some of the things he heard there, but anything from your end?
Yeah, so we've been doing some things to add some efficiency. And one of the things is we've been getting the broken carts that we can't use out of the way, so that when I first got there, they were kind of in the way and people had to roll the broken carts out of the way to get the carts out and things like that. So first thing I did over there was just kind of get those, and Ron's been letting me put some down in maintenance, and that's helped. But also working with the staff on how to deal with, the cart situation, how to deal with customers in the right way when we do run out of carts in most days. And also meeting with vendors, getting stuff ordered for the season, and just kind of preparing for the year.
Nice. Yeah. that course, I mean, I'm excited about all the courses, but I think MAC is going to be the clubhouse renovation, all the changes that are happening. Hopefully we don't have a drought and we can get, the course will come up. I'm excited about MAC, by the end of this year, what it's going to look like and what we can do there. So Ron, if you want to come up and kind of give us a little breakdown of what you saw in Orlando.
Well, I attended the GCSAA education seminars or conference and seminars, trade show. Similar to the trade show, actually is in the same building that the PGA show was in 2 weeks before. And if you can imagine, try to put this in a way, if you take the mode fairways at McDonald of 1, 3, 4, 5 together, and that's a room. It was completely full of, I mean, you name it, something that could be used on a golf course. It was there, from biggest piece of equipment to the smallest doodad. So got to, when you get to actually speak to the manufacturers and the vendors, you can find out a lot more information, and especially the new stuff that's coming out. Also, part of the education seminars, I signed up for I had 2 days of seminars. One was on bunker construction and reconstruction, which is something we've talked about. I've spoken with Jesse a little bit about that. I'm going to kind of come up with some ideas and a plan of how to move forward with that. So who knows, hopefully by next winter, we can be doing some work with that. The other seminar I took one day was, name of that seminar was Municipal Golf Course Strategies, What to Do with Government Rules in an Entrepreneurial Industry. And it was basically about, we operate a business within the city, so we run a business, but yet we are part of government. So that's a lot about that was, and there was a lot of really good information. They talked about case studies, different places across the country, things that are working, or a lot of things we've started doing or maybe been doing for a while, things we just recently started doing. So that's a good thing. It started out, one of the interesting things was talking about how municipal golf started. Basically it's back in the teens, and it was to bring golf to the common man. So, and over the years, it's kind of evolved from, more into a business. So there's different ways that municipalities operate golf courses, how they're funded. Ourselves, we're an enterprise fund, so we're actually a business within the city. So really the main takeaway I took away from that about municipal golf is what they talked about is that the fact that there's 91% of the people that don't play golf. And the big thing is we have to promote ourselves and get messages out. So we have 9% of the people, is that right? Well, not really. They really talked a lot about things in the community and case studies, how, it's interesting how we're going to be doing renovations with the clubhouse, making more type restaurant type things, and how they've got people that don't even play golf, but they come there for a meal or for lunch or something. So, and that takes promotion and the community getting to know about it. So it's one thing that we have to do ourselves. So there were a lot of ideas, and I'd sent a synopsis to Jesse, and I'm going to touch on a few things, but at the end of it, I said to Jesse, how many times did I use the word community just in this? That was the big thing, is understanding that, we are part of the community, and getting our message out, we need to get it out to the whole community, let them know we are not just a golf course that a few people use, we are an asset to the whole community, and have the whole community help support us. And more importantly, we need to work and get that message out to the people in charge, for the higher ups, meaning the government officials, that, we are an asset to the community, and we need to be treated that way, and help the community get behind us to help promote that. So some of the things, and there was just a lot of catchphrases and terms. I got a couple of quotes I'll give you that I thought was important. But they said, it's not just golf, but community activities for everyone. So there's things like that. And there's different ways to use that motion, they talked about if you have historical things, just for instance, like McDonald used to be Wichita Country Club, you know, so there's probably ways we can just information that people like, oh, that's kind of neat, you know, or generate a buzz or something. Something that was mentioned a little bit ago, Jesse said, you know, has had businesses contact him. They said a lot of things what people are doing, government golf courses, they have a foundation or a nonprofit type deal to where matching fund, whatever, let's say Spirit Arrow System say, hey, a lot of our people play golf. We'll give you $500,000 matching funds to do it. Well, how are we going to do that? You know, it's going to take legal and city council and, you know, 10 years to figure that out. So, you know, if there's a nonprofit or some types of a foundation, you know, in the Parks Department, correct me if I'm wrong, Troy, but the Parks Department already has a foundation, don't they? So there's things already in place how that, because and there's people within the community that want to donate to help the overall community. So I'm sure you see that a lot. So, you know, it's something that, you know, maybe there's people out there that want to help out golf. So that's something to think about. You know, and it's basically shifting the way that the community looks at golf. Most people don't play golf. So, but if they understand it's something, even if they don't play golf, it is something that's good for the community and their quality of life here. So, you know, and it's one of the quotations that was used, and I don't recall where this was from, which city, but they had, it was in a either press release or something, said we did this to improve the quality of life in our community and create a first-rate amenity for the people that live here. You know, so going with things like that. And another one, it was from, shoot, where's it at? It was from Hobbs, New Mexico. Gosh, I know I've got it on here. Anyway, I'll find it. Anyway, but there's, you know, I won't take a lot of your time talking about this, but he said, like, in the seminars, and one of the guys doing the seminar, he was, it's for the county of San Luis Obispo, California. And the guy that was doing it is, he's with Job in the County, is what Jesse is here. And the other guy was a golf course architect who does designing and also consults for golf course operations, most of them public golf. So, you know, the things, and they had a lot of case studies, but boy, I wish I could find that other quotation. What did I do with that? Because it was a really good one. Anyway, I probably got it on here. So, but the big thing is I got, and I'll say community again, is that, you know, you need the benefits to be mostly community, not mostly individual, meaning not just the golfing. So, you know, and I've had a list of ideas that I kind of sent to Jesse, and I won't get into a whole lot of those, and, you know, but maybe once we do that, we'll throw out some of those ideas. So one of the things during the seminar, they were talking about different things in operations, and they were talking about, you know, a lot of people just have time for 9 holes. I said, we started a deal years ago. You can have a 9-hole green fee any time of the day, all week long. He said, that's great. Everyone should do that. That's going to increase your business, and because that's going to help people get out there. So, you know, that's something, you know, obviously they hadn't talked about that a lot of people are doing it, but that's something we're doing. So, anyway, that's about all I got. You know, there's several things we can do, but you know, I thought about, I don't know what we call ourselves, Golf Wichita. Yeah. You know, and something they said a lot of places, you know, if we officially are known as Wichita Community Golf, where it's, you know, community means everybody. So that was the big takeaway I got from that. So there was a download I got that I've shared with Jesse, and he at a later date wants to share that with you. It was some pretty good information. Anyway, yeah, Mike.
While you're out there, I know there's several companies that pump slurry.
Yeah, there was
Any-
I mean, for lake dredging. Yeah, there was one that was there. I contacted. They sent me an email. I sent them the information. They're going to do like a Google Earth map to look, get a measurement of our lakes, and give us an estimate. I've got an estimate from a company they're out of Nebraska, and there's another company in Kansas City. I talked to him, it was for the week before I went to the conference. They're down in Louisiana doing a big job. He says, as soon as we get back up to Kansas City, I'll come down and give you a bid on that. So what we're talking there is that, you know, the lakes, the two lakes at the north end, you know, they really don't hold water for irrigation value, but for aesthetics, you know, they've sealed it in, so you get a lot of weed growth and stuff in them. Lakes on number 9 and part of 18, those actually hold water for irrigation. So dredging those down to the point it actually increases the amount of water we can retain. So once we get those numbers, bids, and well, I know one of them, it was a lot more than I thought it would be, but we'll see once we get bids from the two others.
Did they indicate anything at all, like your very north lake? As dry as that thing is, whether you could actually pump slurry out of there, or are you gonna have to dredge that particular type?
No, they all would do, two of the companies they have is, it's like, imagine a small houseboat, pontoon boat, and it's basically built like a snow blower you would use on your driveway, turns in reverse, where it just churns up the sediment and it pumps it out with water, and they use a big, degradable bag that would sit like up on the bank. It all pumps into that and the water comes back out. And eventually that bag is filled up with the dirt. Say it takes a couple of months to dry out, then you use the dirt as you wish. So, and the one company I talked to down there in Orlando, they actually use divers out there with a pump. He says it's less disturbing, excuse me, less disturbing than the barge type. But they all accomplish the same thing.
Say that north ponds are not used for irrigation.
No,
They were dredged and were deeper, would they be used or not?
no,
I thought you put a transfer tube in the very north.
no, there's not in the very north pond. There is from
One along
the ones on that you hit over on 12 and 11. That is one lake. It's just connected by tubes under the path. Those lakes drain on down into 17. It overflows into 18. Then 18 has a valve down the creek to the irrigation.
I thought they'd put a transfer tube up on the very north one. They didn't do that.
Thank you. There was originally, but when we redid it, we didn't put one in because of the cost, because just that no bigger than that lake is, there's very little water.
I think you still need to dredge it so that it catches your sediment right out of the get-go right there.
Exactly. Yeah. That's how the upper ponds are. That's the design. They catch the sediment so it doesn't get on down to the ponds that you don't want it in. All right. Thanks for the water.
All right, and just kind of to reiterate a little bit what he said real quickly. Municipal golf, I think especially, what worked 10 years ago was today, and what worked 20 years ago wouldn't have worked 10 years ago. It's a constantly moving target. And I think these these seminars, just making sure that we're staying on top of that is the only way we're going to continue to be successful as the industry kind of has its ebbs and flows and changes. So I think the types of conferences and seminars that he went to and being part of these classes and these people, that's all they do is study these things, is extremely important for us. So Ron, thank you for bringing that information back. All right, text consolver. Steve, anything?
Update right now, focus is recruitment, trying to get some employees hired for the upcoming season. So kind of putting feelers out to my current employees, like, hey, if you know anybody looking for jobs, trying to shore up some odds and ends, because here in about a couple weeks, possibly this whole thing will get kicked off, and as many rounds as we run, trying to find people and the right people is always a struggle. I know I just got back today, Colin and I and Scott were down in Tulsa at our PGA meeting. 120 pros from all over Arkansas, Oklahoma, and southern Kansas. It's nice to see we all have the same problems. It's recruitment, trying to find people, time management, just doing things to try to make my focus. I'm over the whole facility as far as taking care of the golfers, just understanding that, and that my role is very important, that I see the whole operation and I understand with play once a month or you play 3 times a week, that consistency of my facility and making sure all my employees are on the same page. So really that's what I'm working on is recruitment, setting up tournaments and leagues for the year. The weather, anything like it's been, I would imagine my numbers will be through the roof again. So yeah, I'm in a really good spot. And just talking with the other pros from all over the Midwest, it's really strong right now. Trying to find enough opportunities to give all these golfers, whether it's public or private. Most of the private courses, even down in Oklahoma, we had everybody from friends of mine at Southern Hills to some low-end private and public golf courses, waiting lists to get into these golf courses, and all strong. And they don't. We had PGA National members there, and they were talking about their forecasting. They don't see it dropping off anytime soon. So about engagement and building relationships with our golfers, so they find a home at Tex or Auburn or Mac, and then that's their course, and that's where they come to. And so, anyway, that's what we're working on over at Tex.
Awesome. Okay.
Scott, just real quick,
Mhm.
but I know I get around looking at all these things. I know I saw them out at Tex today, and they're putting in that skid. How much is that going to cost?
That the skid is 14,000, and then there's a what is the name of that thing, Steve? The other component to that job they're doing, it's a small, it's a pump, part of the pump. Yeah.
The main-
skid is
The
14,000.
maintenance pump, it's just a little maintenance pump.
Yeah.
Keep pressure up.
Yeah, the skid itself. So what he's talking about, the thing that the pump sets on, it's just a platform basically. It was about to fall. Seth, I was out 2 weeks ago. He got his phone and took a video with the flashlight on, and you could just see holes where it was just rotted away. That motor was about to fall straight into that well. So they're replacing that. That had to happen. So they're doing that, but it was 14,000. The total cost. The first bid we got was way more than that. So we were actually kind of happy to have 14,000.
I'd be curious who that company is.
Detected at your front door.
Eagle Eye, you got Eagle Eye, isn't that what they're called, Darren?
He didn't tell me.
It's Eagle Eye, something, yeah, I can get that for you, but, yep.
Is Lane Western price themselves clear out of competition?
I've not heard that. Are you familiar with that, Darren?
Lane Western was the biggest pump outfit in the whole area for a long time.
I couldn't get him to even return a phone call. I called 4 times.
We've got pump issues or had pump issues at all 4 courses, and I've not heard that name from anyone yet, so.
They're a big company here, and they're pretty pricey, but they can do anything.
Okay,
But I couldn't even get them to answer my phone.
okay. Next, one thing I forgot to mention real quick, kind of bouncing around at Auburn, April 29th, put that on your calendar. We're having our kind of golfer appreciation kickoff day. That's going to be a huge day. I'm working with Dillon's right now to try to secure extra parking and some shuttles. That's going to be the hardest part to figure this out. We're going to have several vendors set up on the course. We're going to have music. We're going to have mic'd up. I'm working on trying to get, hopefully I'm going to be able to secure a golf professional to come out and do a clinic, like a professional golfer, not a golf professional golfer to come out and do a clinic and a seminar. We got food going to be cooked outside, just all kinds of prizes, giveaways. It's going to be a huge, huge day to kind of showcase and really, again, keep that buzz going for golf. So April 29th, I would obviously love it if you guys could show up and have fun with us out there at Auburn Hills.
What time?
1 to 5. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Next up would be food and beverage update. I'll let Kevin come up and. How's that?
Okay. Thanks, Darren.
Going to be brief except for questions. We're still working on the liquor license for Auburn and ways to figure out how to get that procured and then maybe move on to the other courses. And then the other thing is Thursday, Jesse and I are heading up to Kansas City
to work in the Cisco test kitchen they're going to kind of show us everything you can do with what's called like a turbo chef oven. It's these ovens, microwave, convection cook, and there's another process, but it's 3 at one time. It's the ones you see at Subway where they can heat your sandwich in 45 seconds. And they're going to make about 40 different items for Jesse and I, so we can see what works and works fast, and it's good quality stuff too. They just got one at a course that he was at before, and he didn't really get a chance to play with it much, and they barely scratched what you can do, but there'll be a whole lot of new stuff with bringing that in. Questions on food and beverage?
When will the beverage license be required for all?
We're working with Troy and Nate and the city manager to try and figure out how we have to do it, because going from a cereal malt beverage licenses are pretty much handled by the city. So the city issues them, they send a list to the state, says this place has a cereal malt beverage license. Full liquor licenses are issued by the state. And in doing that, part of the roadblock I ran into is they want the mayor, the city manager, and the controller listed on that liquor license. And that's probably not going to happen. So we need to find another way to do it, whether it's to create a foundation or Parks Foundation help. So we're working different ways to get it to work. Once we figure out how we're going to do that, it's a matter of 30 days. I can have it on board and ready to go. So the state part, since I've already been through it, till I hit that roadblock, I have all the paperwork, I have all the information. I had to do all diagrams of the golf course and show everywhere we're serving liquor, but all that's ready to go. So on my side, I'm good to go. We just need to kind of bang our heads together and figure out a way to figure this out. Other than that.
Maybe I'm wrong, but I was thinking that you guys had mentioned something about maybe hiring a cook or a chef or something like maybe Auburn or the other courses.
Part of what Jesse's gone through recently it took 2 months to get all these job codes figured out, that there's thousands of them within the city. We needed to reactivate some and use some. So we've got those rolling. I don't know how close you are. Done.
Yeah, we need to get the kitchens in place.
I mean, that's more.
But yeah.
Each golf course will have a cook. So the concession workers are not running back to make food. They'll just, and part of the new POS system, there'll be a screen back there. So they ring it in, shows up on the screen, food gets made.
I think what we see this Thursday will determine a lot of which direction we need to go. So we're still figuring out that. Whatever you mentioned is not top of the list, but it's still dry.
There's
Board conditions have to be number one. The clubhouse and food and beverages are out there.
As we upgrade that, there's a huge amount of money left on the table that goes back into the golf courses that we're leaving behind. With the average we have right now of what, $350 a golfer, what we finished the year at, which is nowhere near where it should be. So if we can get that up to $7, $8, $10, of course, improvements. Once the kitchens are set, there's no more improvements to do. We're good to go. So that's just money in the bank that we can put back into the courses. So event wise out at Auburn, we started booking events again. I'm kind of acting as the cook right now. Just recently, we locked in a deal with Edward Jones Investments. They're going to do 6 meetings a year between 40 and 60 people, where they're doing breakfast, lunch, the meeting room, the whole deal. It's a huge chunk of money that we'll have on a regular basis. We also tied in with them. 2 of their meetings are leadership meetings. And so I kind of threw out there, you want to golf after the meeting? And they went, heck of an idea. So we're tying that in and working with Scott that anyone that wants to go out and golf will do it. I have booked 2 weddings. One of them's coming up in April, another one later in the year. Some of those may golf. There is a big family reunion, which is a Scottish family. And strangely enough, 2 of the members of their family back in the 20s, one male, one female, won the Open Championship. So they kind of have a cool last name that ties in with that. And I did the same thing with them when I booked them is, well, you just mentioned that you have a couple, ancestors that won the Open. Any golf golfers interested, because their deal's starting at like 5 at night and they're like, heck yeah. So they're getting with Scott and booking tee times, so they'll go out and do that. And then a big one we booked was the Westar Evergy retirees reached out. I guess a year or two ago, Evergy said, Westar used to always let them put on a big banquet every year. And Evergy said, you get no money. They took that away, and the retirees said, we're going to do it on our own. So they all decided they would pay for the thing to have their big banquet. So we booked that. It'll be in December, I believe December 6th or 7th, 130 people at Auburn Hills, full plated meals served. And that's another huge chunk of revenue. So they're rolling in one after the other. I think I had 2 or 3 in the last, just through the weekend. Lots of little events and stuff, but anything we can book out there, and maybe as these clubhouses get renovated and look better, we can do the same thing. I know, talking to some people that have played MAC for years, they used to do all kinds of stuff in that clubhouse back in the day that kind of went away. So the facelift will help. Yep.
Speaking of the remodels, do you have plans for like the grand reopenings, like Sam and then?
We hadn't talked about it, but we should.
We talked about it at the very beginning. We definitely will. Once we have a definite timeline, we'll start. But yeah, we definitely are going to blast.
We're going to get with the news outlets and everybody, and the appreciation day in April, we're going to bring some TV and radio and people out there, and even mentioned, and I can get that going, live music going on, one singing and stuff. So
whatever carts we go with, I'm going to have them bring out demos of the carts so everyone can see this is what we're about to get. We'll have TVs, the clubhouse remodels, what's where we're at that point going. So yeah, and that's one example. We're going to put it everywhere.
Anybody else? Thank you.
And then one last thing to piggyback off that, with he's talking about non-golf events with tournaments. It's a huge revenue source that we aren't taking advantage of. So I've been talking to several tournaments that have events that surrounding golf courses and kind of seeing what would it take to bring you guys to one of our courses. And I think the clubhouse renovations, it's a lot of, don't really have a good place afterwards that we can host the awards and do whatever. So with these clubhouse renovations, it's really going to open the door for, right now, Auburn does a decent amount, but the other courses are a little bit limited. So I think that's going to really open the door for those revenue streams. The good thing, we have 4 courses. Our members, if we have a tournament at McDonald, they have 3 other options. We're not just completely shutting them out for the day. So I'm not saying we want to have tournaments every day, but tournaments are big days for it. With our fee structure and the way our days play out with mostly membership play, we throw a tournament in, that can be $10,000 days every time we have a tournament that we wouldn't have. So definitely a big financial impact to bring those tournaments in. So yeah, just again, a lot of momentum.
The Ziggy's tournament out at MAC in October.
Yeah.
Ziggy's Pizza, I don't know what it's for, what they do a big tournament out of MAC every year. It was an $11,000 day just to McDonald's.
On a day that would have been.
Drank us dry.
Oh, yeah.
But
Actually, the number 1,111 beers.
After tournaments, how can you keep them there? Because a lot of people just leave, but keeping them there and drinking beer and hanging out, would boost some more revenue.
My favorite part that I almost missed with this job, not being at the course, that I'll be more involved, but I love creating that atmosphere at a tournament. I want people, when they show up, they know they're at an event. They're not just going to play golf. They know that as soon as they pull up, they know, man, there's something going on here today. Like, this is a special deal. It may create that atmosphere where they want to stay, whether it's through music, through stuff. I mean, as soon as they pull up, they should see stuff. They should see that it's an event. So we'll work on, the ways that we do that and creating that atmosphere where you don't want to leave. I mean, I was at a private club just out of city limits. We had no rules. And at 4:30 in the morning, I'm like, please go home. I'm done. I've been here since 4:30 this morning, but they didn't ever want to leave. But that was perfect. That's what I wanted. So, yeah, we definitely have to improve there. So. Okay. Yes.
One thing that popped up in presentation with Kevin and thinking back with Steve with the recruitment, said course conditions are top priority. Are we pushing for trying to recruit on that side of staff?
Yeah, we definitely are. We've got open positions. We just, and we've got plenty. We just got to find the people. Want to do that. And I've been doing ride-arounds with all the superintendents and the head pros together. So we've been doing kind of a course tour, all three together, just to kind of look at, just kind of go through the checklist. How are the greens? How are the fairways? How are the, the different components of the golf course? What are some projects? What's something that, since you've been working here, that you've always looked at and thought, well, it'd be cool if we did this, but you just never done it. Let's work on these things. It really, the course conditions, without a doubt, have to be priority number one. It's easy for me to say we're putting new flooring in a clubhouse. It's hard for me to say we're going to pull plugs in the fairway. People don't know what that means typically. So it's harder to market that. The best way to market it is provide great golf courses. So I talk a lot about this other stuff because it's hard to, other than just saying the courses are going to get better, it's hard to get specific because that's a different language. Most people, even for me in some cases. So, but that is priority number one without a doubt.
Something Jesse mentioned to me a while back when he started a volunteer program, a lot of those became employees. So it's kind of a recruiting tool also.
Okay. And then any other discussion, comments?
This may be for the next subject here, but have you considered, I look at it as insurance, the whole goal is to build more revenue for the city. But have you looked at marketing it out to, and maybe you have, but marketing it out to businesses, discounted prices for a group of employees?
We're going to talk about that right now. Yeah. There again, when I first got here, I kind of laid out my plan in the order that I wanted to do things. And I wanted for everyone in the community to see us doing things on our own before I really went after these type of things. So yeah, corporate top membership, and that's something I want to bring up for you guys to think about for the next meeting. I definitely want to get that in place. And in my experience, you get those corporate memberships, those become your partners. Those are your business partners. Their clients are coming here, their people are coming here, so they want nicer facilities. So it's easier for them to say, hey, you got a project, we will help you with that. So, but they need to see us doing stuff on our own, I feel like. So, okay. So the last item on the agenda, the golf fees review. Again, I wanted to go over all the fees tonight. I gave you all a handout with all the fees on it. And really what I want to do is go over them, let you guys kind of think about it. Part of the task of this board is to go over fees and make adjustments as needed. And so I wanted to make sure we understood exactly what all the fees are so we can open a discussion if you all want to see adjustments or whatever we decide to do there. So that I can see. So we'll start with just regular green fees. You can see across the board, Monday through Friday, $25 everywhere except for Auburn Hills, 27, and then on the weekends it's 27, and then 32 at Auburn Hills. Excuse me, on Saturday, Sunday, and holidays. One thing that's been brought up a lot is Friday considered a weekend? You guys think about that, but keep that in the back of your mind when we talk about discussion for change. Non-hole rates, $15 everywhere, $17.50 at Auburn Monday through Friday, $16 and $20.50 at Auburn Saturday, Sunday, and holidays. Okay, we'll have to go over that in a second. Any questions on the green fees? Part and range fees, we just did the adjustment there. So 18 is $15 and non-hole rate is $9 on the cart. That includes the $2 that goes into the fund for cart replacement. Range fees, I think this is something that we could definitely look at. The small warm-up buckets are $4. Large bucket is $7. You look at other courses, that is as cheap as you're ever going to find. That may not be a bad thing, but I've been doing comparisons to other courses. Well, yeah, I can tell you in my past that's by far the cheapest. A range card 70, and then the annual range pass is something I want to look at. It's $325 for basically you get 2 buckets a day all year long. That's a weird wording to me that was in place. It's just either, I don't know. That's something I'd like to look at and have you guys kind of think about. Mike?
Curiosity, when you go large bucket, warm up bucket, what's the ball count for us versus our competitors? I mean, everybody's a competitor.
Oh, they're gonna be really close. The,
We
small,
may be charging $7, but giving them out, only 50 balls where somebody charges $8, you get 75 balls.
yeah, no, I mean, I would say for a comparable, most of the companies, if they use baskets, they have the same sizes that you order from one of the companies. So, large bucket, I think is around 60, 65 balls. Small bucket, I think it was like 30 or 35. And I think a comparable amount of balls at another course is still going to be more than what we charge. And I'll be glad to kind of put that together before the next meeting and kind of do a comparison. Well, I need to present that to you guys anyway. So, I'll work on that and send it out, and get some area courses and then some non-area courses. We'll kind of do some comparisons.
Which card give you?
That.
The card is you pay for 10 buckets and you get 12.
Yeah.
Discount.
I was getting the number right. So pay for 10, get 2 free. All right. We also have a couple end of the day special, sunset special, twilight special. Sunset special, you basically play for the amount of holes. So at Tex, you play 5 holes for $5. And then $5 if you want to ride those 5 holes. You play 7 for $7 and 7 if you want to ride. And that the reason it's different is just because of the course layout. You come back to the clubhouse at that point. So it doesn't do any good to say play 5 holes. And number 5 ends 2 miles from the clubhouse. So got that special. And then the twilight special starts at 5 o'clock, April through September. Play 18 holes and ride. You can see the prices there. We do have a lot of leagues that basically prevent the tee times from being open on a lot of days at different courses. So something to consider when looking at this. Okay, we do have active military green fee, which I'm a huge fan of. We can look at those prices. That's on your sheet as well. And then finally, our memberships. I think this is something we need to discuss, but I want to make sure everyone had this in front of them. The junior membership is, we only have 12 or something, and not very many. Well, yeah, with the marathon golf league, basically anyone under 18 can play for free. So they come in, they scan a barcode, we charge those rounds to the golf marathon fund. So I'll be honest, I don't really understand the point of this junior membership. I think it was done before that was in place. Maybe I really don't know. So there's some folks want to deal with that QR code. They'd rather pay and go, which for $10, I understand. There has been an increase of 2% per year since this membership has gotten going. But you look at the seniors, 2% increase on $58 is what, $1.08 or something, whatever it is. Not very much. And seniors definitely play the most rounds of all of our membership tops. So Randy, you brought that breakdown from 21. I'm going to get that from you. I'll send you out the 22 version of that breakdown with the updated numbers, so you all can kind of have that and come back and discuss this next.
But to me, that's the biggest disparity, is that's the group that's playing the most golf and they're paying the least amount of money.
Right.
So if something would need to be adjusted, that might be the first place we look.
Yep. Kevin and I we were kind of playing around with what you're talking about and trying to figure out what these numbers were. And we did at Auburn Hills, the seniors were paying on average for the month we looked at, it was just over $4 per round. That's their green fee, and they're taking up 50% of our times almost, 40% of our time. So
you can't play miniature golf for $4.
You can't. You can't. And Auburn Hill, I mean, all of our courses are nice. I mean, anywhere else, that's an expensive green fee to play that course. So anyway, that's for you guys to decide. I don't want to, lead you either way. But
are you looking at across the board increase? I know that senior fee might need to go up different, but
that's something you guys will help decide. So yeah, I can, before the next meeting, I'll kind of have some proposed ideas if you guys want to make a change. And we can go over those, and then obviously whatever you guys decide, we'll go from there. But
yeah, no, Randy, I'd love to see a round breakdown of those.
yeah, I'll get all that information for you.
I think one of the other things that we need to consider while we're looking at this is the legal aspect of it, because these people are already signed up under a contract with the city, and the city takes money out of their bank account every month. It's somewhat of a contract, and in this contract, it says we will raise the passes no more than 2% annually. So hypothetically, you start a whole new pass system. Can you tweak the one you have legally? I don't know.
You're right, and those are some things to talk about. And I think one of the things that I'm going to take a step back. One of the reasons why I came up here was because this past June, I think it was the very last Golf Advisory Committee meeting that we had. We actually passed an increase. It was, if I remember correctly, I think it was a 10% increase for 1 year, and then doing it again for the next year as well. So there was actually momentum moving forward to changing these passes, particularly the senior pass. So we actually had accomplished that back in June of last year. So that particular governing board made it a request I was going to take to council. The council said, hey, let's wait until this board is assembled. So I just wanted you to know that it has already been discussed, and there was actually momentum and support for it in the past. And yes, one of the things that we talked about was everybody would have to sign a new contract. And that's simple enough. So we make it whatever day we want to start, June 1st. Here's what the new contract is going to look like, and when it starts, you just re-sign it and move forward from that date. So.
A situation like, say somebody says no, is that a point where they lose the membership?
That's correct. Yeah, your options would be to either not have a membership or move forward with a new agreement in place.
So there might be an opportunity there to make a new structure. Say hypothetically, you could have maybe a 5-day pass where you can't play on the weekends, or you have a pass that includes a card. I mean, just different variables that you could put in there hypothetically.
I guess you could. One thing, I would definitely want our new system in place. If we did that, we have to have some way. Our current system, I don't have a lot of faith that it would keep track of all that. So they need to know when we type in their name, it pulls up the correct type of membership and charges them accordingly. So, but hopefully that's going to be soon.
So we also, 2 years ago, really simplified all of our passes, and we had too many of them that we couldn't even keep track of. So one of the reasons why we simplified it was so it was easier for marketing, it was easier for just the presentation, it was easier on our software as well. So those are some of the things that we've done in the past as well. I mean, we could go and make it many different types of passes as we want. Weekend pass, just a weekday pass, maybe whatever you guys want to do. But every time you do that, it makes things a whole lot more complicated. Just to want you to be aware.
And I've done it every which way, and I will say the fewer the better. It's just easier and more efficient to operate. If we did anything, I like weekday or full access, and leave it at that. If we want to do it, that's not that complicated, but start trying to get, it's Monday through Friday after 2, or all these things, that gets way too long. So I would encourage this group to try to help me on that, not get too far down that road in areas. So yeah, yes, sir.
Curiosity, when you're doing that composite study there, can you assign numbers to these categories, like to see how many senior passes you have?
Yeah, take a look at it. So,
yeah,
absolutely.
What Randy has here that he's asked for me to kind of put together. It has each type of membership, the number of members in each category, how many rounds played by each category total, the average number of rounds per person in that category, the dollar per round, and then got a new price. I'm not sure what that means, but and then a breakdown of members versus non-members with all those things. So yeah, it's got all of that information. I think everything that you would want to do the comparisons will be on here for you.
When I looked at it, the seniors have played more rounds than the juniors, the young adults, the couples, single, all together. So seniors are taking advantage of this cheap golf, which is great. I mean, it's good that they're out there. And, you know, every time somebody comes to the course, they don't just bring the green fee money. I mean, they bring concession money, range ball money, they don't merchandise money. I mean, they bring money for everything. So you want people coming through your door.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can take to his point. I'm looking at Auburn specifically last year, 22,000 total member rounds, 12,000 were seniors. So more than all the other categories combined, and more than 1/4 of our total rounds, total green fees, everything. So
But you need to make it sustainable so that the fees continue to be invested into the golf courses, so that as he has equipment, as he can pay for staff to get raises. Those are all things that you need to think about in the future.
Still needs to be inviting too, because I know everyone I golf with talks about how great a deal it is, which we don't want to be losing money, but we don't want to.
we've got to find that spot. Yeah, absolutely. It is great in the wintertime. I mean, November, December, we had no green fee play. It was freezing cold, but we had membership coming in that kept us at least having some revenue coming in during those months. So we have to find that line.
That's the other thing to consider too, is these people are paying all year long, even though hypothetically they may not play 4 months.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that we found was beneficial to our paying our bills, having finances in the bank. So our
accounting folks, they like to see things on an even scale, right? Just going right. Or if there's some changes, they're very little. Prior to that, it was summertime is humongous revenue, then it just drops. So having this monthly fees coming in, really helpful. We still have a huge spike and dip, but that was one of the reasons why we did it, because we knew that we'd be able to have sustainable revenues coming in on a regular basis.
So some options may be though, like Andy mentioned about, having a different price for the seniors, rate or maybe.
We can talk about that. That gets, I mean, even
the annual rate, I think that consistent revenue stream that Troy's talking about is something that really helps.
one of the things.
I apologize, Jesse.
You know the history.
If I'm stepping on your toes, I apologize. One of the things that we've been finding also is that some folks will come in at the beginning of summer, they'll sign up for a pass, and at the end of the summer, and they don't. And so we lose 6 months worth of revenue that they played at the peak times. And so obviously they wouldn't be playing that much in November and December and January and February. So we just lost out on 4 to 6 months worth of revenue. So by holding them accountable for all those payments, they're getting a great deal in the summertime. And if they can and want to come out and play in wintertime, they can. So you have to think about how the system works and how can you use the system? What's going to, and people think about that over and over again, finding ways to reduce the amount that they have to pay. So one of the reasons why we're offering an annual pass is so that we have revenue. but because they're getting such a great deal, let's just kind of spread out this whole 12 months.
To set up a 6-month agreement and a year agreement and have that 6 month be more and drop off versus that year, but has to be 6 months. And if you don't, no matter what, you just have that agreement. I don't know the legalities of that.
There's, like I said, you can do this any way you want. It just adds up more different passes that you have to track and maintain and operate.
Right.
And then somebody says, well, I passed it yesterday. Can I get an extra?
It might just help out those where people sign up and then they drop off. Like you were saying, they just drop off because they just it's time.
We do have a 1-year commitment on the membership.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I don't even pay attention. I just pay it.
We do have a 1-year commitment. There's a cancellation. Get out just for that, just so folks aren't just playing April to September.
Like I said, of course, they have just the opposite. Their floor rates are in the winter.
Right.
And in the summer when it's hot, folks can play 115 degrees.
Right.
So I just didn't know here is the opposite. We don't play when it's below 30.
Their memberships are probably not, their green fees are like that. Their memberships probably, they may be, I would say they're probably not like that. But their green fees definitely are. We were like that in Florida. I was at the course there. We were lower in the summer because it was so hot. Someone played. So, our green fees, that is something. I mean, I've always had kind of a breakdown throughout the day where it's this much in the prime time and it kind of trickles down. Ours are the same all day long. That's an easy fix in the system. You just set it up, sheet automatically at this time. It switches to a different rate. So that's something we could look at from a green fee standpoint. But as you said, when we first got in here, there's such a difference in what a green fee players versus player pays versus what a senior player pays right now. I would rather focus on our memberships first, and then we can go down that road later, personally. Okay, Colin?
I was gonna say one thing, that's why timing's so important on this. Like Mr. Howman said, we have to get this done by June, because if we wait too long and we raise it more than the 2%, then they could leave and then wait till March to come back because they're out of that contract. So, it needs to be done by May or June so that they have golfing months ahead of them.
Yeah.
If we do this in August, they're just gonna say, oh, I'll wait till spring.
Never want to do a rate increase when they can't play golf.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good point. I think next meeting, I'll get all this information to you, and then, Mr. President, you can take over and lead us through that process.
We designate you to go ahead.
All right. Sound, any other questions before we call it? Okay, looks like there are none, so thank you very much. I will call into this meeting.
If you didn't do it, it would have been.
Jordan, Scott, Marcia.
So I'm just thinking, you might want to get a date book up there. Well,
Maybe get a board record discount.
There you go.
You guys. Take care. Great to see you guys.
Yeah.
That's the take care.
Hey, you know what?
You're usually gone by the time.
I'll just take it out there.
Okay, for me, but it's gonna be a. We'll talk about that.
Steve has 4 days a week.
Yeah, see.
$3.36.
I left my dad.
Yeah, I mean.
You can't buy 2 candy bars. And most of them walk.
After time, that's why y'all.